Okay, today on the Web 3.0 Lab, it's a very simple presentation about something that seems contradictory. Why is it that as technology is advancing, what we're seeing is that actually a lot of manufacturing jobs are going to places, isolated places in China, Africa, where standards of infrastructure and technology might be a bit low? This seems to be contradictory. What people would tend to think would be happening is that as technology advances, businesses will make production plants more and more machine oriented, which would reduce the requirements of unit labor to produce something, which would keep production local to where the consumption is because then you wouldn't have to transport the items. But this isn't what's happening. What's actually happening is that jobs are moving more and more remotely in the manufacturing section to Asia and Africa, and to some extent South America as well, while technology increases. Why is this? It has to do with the fixed capital. Okay, now if you add technology to a plant, you can get much more efficiency, but you have to invest the fixed capital in the plant up front. So you own a plant and you want to keep it in the United States. It's very expensive to keep American workers, but you think that you can compete by putting in all kinds of new computerized technology and new manufacturing methods that will create, a very, very efficient, futuristic office that would compete. And it is possible. The problem is, though, you have to operate that plant in order to get a return on your technology. You put in new machinery, you have to run that machinery for a significant amount of time before you get a return on your investment. Okay? If innovation was slow, that wouldn't really be a problem because you'd be willing to invest that money with the anticipation that you would get returns in the long run by having a efficient, low-cost production center. And you wouldn't want to take on the risks of putting your production center in a country you don't understand or you don't trust its political system. For example, in Africa, very risky to open a food production plant in Nigeria or Brazil. It's very uncertain when you operate in China. The problem is, though, that with the speed of consumer innovation, okay, the kind of thing that you're going to want to create is changing so rapidly that companies will be very leery about investing too much in future technology. Let me give you an example. Say you're a phone maker, okay? You're producing phones in, say, Germany. You have the capacity, you have to pay your German workers. Each one of them makes on average 50,000 euros a year, let's say. You can put in new technology that would enable those workers for 10 years to produce phones competitively with similar work in Indonesia. Okay? The problem is, though, is that the machines assume that that phone will be demanded for 10 years. Okay? You don't know whether your current phone designs are going to be efficient in 10 years. You're redesigning your processes. It's much faster under current technology to get people to make a new kind of phone than to retool. Okay? So actually, it's better for you with innovation to use more manual process because you need to be changing every once in a while, and fixed capital investment requires a long-term payoff to cover its costs. So actually, as consumer innovation becomes more and more, as consumers are demanding more and more changes in things, the production moves to cheaper. We've already seen this in fashion. The fact that people are buying new fashions every year means that not only do you want to keep your cost low, but you can't you can't invest too much in automated production. So you go for cheap manual, and that's what's happening with a lot of technologies. So, say phones, iPads, things like this are being made in cheaper manual production processes because within 3 or 4 years you might have to close that capacity, you might have to restart. If you build a factory with Western workers, with Western protections, Western wages, with high tech, it's possible that you could end up being the next Nokia. Your phones won't sell for some reason, and you get caught with this huge investment and it didn't work out. So until one of two things happens, we're going to see a trend like this. Either one, the rate of technical innovation will slow down and companies will be more secure that if they make something today, they'll be able to sell it in a year or two, okay, which will mean that they will be more willing to invest in fixed machinery, or the machinery will start getting as smart as people are so that the machine can actually produce something different or quickly. Right now, we're not really at the secondary thing. I don't really see either of them happening for at least 5 or 10 years. And I think the one that's more likely is going to be smart machines that can be reprogrammed. So instead of your typical manual, Ford-like industrial plant that makes a car, you'll have machines that can do multiple different kinds of things, non-specialized. Right now, though, industrial production machinery is pretty fine-tuned. You buy a very expensive multi-million-dollar press to create some kind of a nut or bolt, it's going to create the same nut or bolt for 10 or 20 years. What we need to do is create machines that today can make nuts and bolts, tomorrow can make telephones, which is, we call them people right now, but that's what is happening. So hopefully that explains it.